It's 2023 and you want to know if keyword density or page speed still matters in how Google ranks your website. Well, today we're breaking down some untruths, confirmed facts, and industry-tested Google ranking factors, along with some things we've always known over the years, or maybe a few of you weren't sure about. Each year, you might hear some search professionals claim they know all the Google ranking factors. Well, newsflash, they don't. In fact, many even inside the walls of Google don't even know every signal Google uses to rank pages. But what we do know is there's an enormous difference between what might impact SEO, what's actually confirmed as a ranking factor, and what is simply a good principle to rank well. Ready? Let's take a look. So you probably already know there are signals that Google uses in its algorithm that really helps define what it is we're going to see, whether it is based on our location, whether it is based on the search intent. So there's some high level things that we understand, but what are the actual signals that Google looks at in 2023? So let's jump right in, take a look and see. There are those that are confirmed, and I'm going to start with those first. The confirmed ones are the ones that Google has actually told us that are part of ranking factors are things like Core Web Vitals. Now, Core Web Vitals, and I'm not going to get too technical and detailed in here. However, I will put a link here below this that will show you how to get Google's test. You can definitely see that Core Web Vitals and how that plays on your particular website in Google Search Console, in your own Google Search Console, which if you haven't set it up, you should, because there's a ton of information that you're going to be getting. So Core Web Vitals, a part of that is user experience, also plays a real big role in how well our site will perform from a user perspective. Next is page speed, which is definitely a Google ranking factor, and we know this because Google has actually said this. Now, if you are trying to optimize a website on the content side, but you know it's loading too slowly, that's a problem. So I would definitely look to remediate any page speed issues. Again, in here, I'm going to drop a link below on the Google tool that you can use for page speed. I like to use Lighthouse, is a Chrome plugin that I like to use, and that gives me a pretty good understanding in terms of the page speed. Another one is anchor text. So in your blog post or on the content within your website, if it says read more, that's not really giving context to Google in terms of what that other page that is hyperlinked to more. So maybe if you are a recruiting or staffing agency and and if you have a whole category of accounting jobs or positions in accounting, you might want to highlight accounting positions available, because that's giving Google and your users a better idea in terms of what actually they will expect to see, what's the context of that content once they click over. The next one is domain history. So this one, again, is when you have a domain that is brand new, meaning you just purchased it yesterday and now it's a brand new domain. So how much history is involved in that domain basically speaks to the trust that Google has or doesn't have with it. Because it's a brand new domain, the trust hasn't really been established. However, for those domains that are 10 or 20 years old, there's a great deal of trust that has been baked into that domain. Therefore, you've got all of that history. The next one is EAT. Now, I will again comment and maybe create a second video on the newer EEAT. All of those play a factor in terms of the types of quality of the content, and that we know that Google will look at from a ranking perspective. The other extra E is experience, which again I mentioned in my AI article, which I will link below here or up here, but that is something you should definitely read when it comes to experience and working with ChatGPT. Next, headings. All about headings. Your heading 1 and your heading 2. Again, this gives context to the search engine in terms of what is this particular piece of content about. So making sure that your H1 and H2 are all as well optimized as possible. Now, I'm not talking about stuffing keywords into those headings, but just making sure that they are well optimized, and really are good headlines as to the types of content that you've got listed below. The next is HTTPS. This again goes along with the trust factor, and this is where we want to make sure that our SSL certificate, and it's the little lock that you see in your website inside the browser next to your domain. If you are missing that, which I still see so many websites out there that are missing this, but that is a ranking factor. So we want to make sure that we have our security in place within our domain. Other is content. Yes, this is very broad, but we know content is a ranking factor depending on the searcher's intent, depending on the types of content. Are we answering the questions our searchers are actually asking? And are we doing it in full context? And is it valuable and beneficial and helpful? Is it just a quick summary, or are we actually producing a real good answer to that question? Title tags, still a big winner. Your title tag should not be home on your home page. Your title tag should be unique, and it should fit within the specific guidelines that Google has shared with us. It always does work. Now, there are some that you might see where Google may swap it out and not use it. I still see a few instances where that does happen. However, Google does use the title tag we create, and which hopefully is unique and well optimized to that particular page. So title tags, definitely a thing. And of course, backlinks. It is a web. We need to have linking. Backlinks are still part of this link-based algorithm. And relevance, distance, prominence, physical proximity to the searcher. This also plays a very big role, especially when it comes to local SEO. We want to make sure that the map where it is to our location is all set up so that when someone locally is searching for whatever product or service that you have to offer, you're being found for that. RankBrain, this came out in 2015, and many people still think this is something they can optimize for. Well, they can't. Now, RankBrain is an AI system. It integrates AI into the search queries. Now, as I said, AI is not anything new to Google. It's been around since at least 2015 and maybe even a little bit before that, but we know at least that RankBrain has been around since 2015. Mobile friendliness. Mobile first came around 2016-ish. Mobile friendly websites, the MDOT, which we no longer use any longer, but now we want to make sure that we are optimized from a mobile first perspective or mobile standpoint. And that simply means that for years now, since at least 2016 or 17, Google has looked at our mobile experience first and then the desktop second. So if you found your page speed when you ran that test was really great on desktop but not so good on mobile, you might want to optimize because Google is looking at your mobile experience first. Next is keyword stuffing. So we know this is not a Google ranking factor. Now, just because it's listed here as confirmed, Google has confirmed that when you're stuffing keywords into your website to try and get it to rank really well, this has long been something we just avoid. It is a thing that we know is not helpful. Keyword prominence, not keyword density. Where is that keyword in your content? Specifically, if we look at a title tag as an example, is that really important keyword at the front part of our actual title tag? If it is, then that's a good thing. This is why we don't want to put the brand in the front part of the title tag and a keyword we're trying to rank for at the end of the title tag. Now let's talk about the unconfirmed but likely ranking factors. So these are those things that Google has not actually said this is part of our search engine ranking algorithm, but we know that these could potentially impact positively on your SEO performance. Number one is alternate text. The alt text or alternate text is what you include inside. It's a brief description, very brief, with some keywords describing an image, for example. That is something we want to make sure of. Breadcrumbs. We know breadcrumbs are not a Google ranking factor. However, they are links that we can see on the actual page that they're internally linking from one category to a subcategory to a product. So that is something we know. It's also a good user experience, which all in all, we just want our users to have a positive user experience. So breadcrumbs, definitely something Google hasn't confirmed, but is a best practice. As far as I'm concerned, is something we should definitely incorporate within the website. Click depth. Now, again, if you got a very deep website, for example, if it takes me 15 or 20 clicks to get to your actual product page, well, again, Google hasn't confirmed that this is an issue or that this would hamper your efforts. But if you can just imagine how much time that bot has to spend crawling all of those 19 or 20 pages just to get to that product page, that's ugly. It's also not a good user experience. So click depth, definitely something we want to keep in mind. A good click depth, by the way, is, I would say, 2. Don't go beyond 2 if you can help it. 3 max. Local citations. Now, something again that I think is a best practice, but I've heard many say, it's worthless. It really doesn't help. So just for those who don't know what a citation is, it is where you have your business listed in a directory, let's say Yellow Pages Online, or you certainly LinkedIn, where your business is located and listed, within Maps, within certain business directories, industry directories, and publishers, where your specific business is listed. I think it can be beneficial, especially if you're a brand new business, for sure. But it's also, I think, a best practice just to have your business name, your address, and your phone number listed correctly in all of the directories where it can be found, whether it's Yelp or any other online directory. Co-citation or co-occurrence. This is something that can get pretty geeky, but basically what it pretty much means is those pages that are similar but not exactly the same, but they're basically mentioning your brand or mentioning the content that is similar, where you can see this co-occurrence occur, and then linking into your website. So we're kind of using some off-page factors, but the content is relevant to one piece is relevant to the other piece. This is not anything Google has confirmed. The language in your website, just because it's English or it's Spanish or it's some other language, it is not a ranking algorithmic factor. However, I might argue if it's Spanish and I'm in Spain versus English, I would probably, as someone who is a resident of Spain, would probably prefer seeing that language in my own native tongue rather than some other language such as English. Internal linking, definitely not ever confirmed. But again, if you think about the web and linking and associating, where I was talking before about co-occurrence, associating one page with another and showing the relationship of those using internal links, definitely something you should absolutely be optimizing for in your own website. When it comes to schema, again, this is something that Google has not confirmed, but if you can kind of see alternate text, breadcrumbs, local citations, co-citation, language, internal links, and schema all have in common is they're informing the search engine of what the context of this particular content is. Schema is exactly that. It is informing me of an author or a business type or a product or whatever, but it's informing the search engine as to what that content is. And of course, users' own search history. Each user is different, of course. This isn't something you can influence, but because of personalization and localization, we're going to see that there is some relationship. Now, you might say, well, isn't that where the prominence, where your specific location, back where we were talking about, this is different. This is your search history. That has no bearing on whether or not a page is ranking. Now, of course, I'm ignoring the fact that you might have clicked through a page numerous times, and then if it's relevant to your next search result, Google may just show that domain or that page specifically. But again, it's not anything confirmed. Now, if there's anything here I missed, let me know. If you have any questions about, well, what might be confirmed later this year or what are the many updates that might be coming down the pike, I'm happy to answer those. If you have any questions, drop them below. Otherwise, I'll be back and I'll be talking more about other Google ranking factors. Thanks for watching.